Hey you guys, hey future lawyers, how you doing? My name is Anthony Denmark, founder of Becoming JD. It has definitely been an eventful week. We got a lot of things planned for you guys on tonight's episode of Making the Case for Your Lawyer Dreams. We're going to let this room fill up. We're going to let you guys continue to fill up this room. As I continue to write down my notes, I want you guys to let me know where you are viewing our session from. Of course, I pray that all of you guys are being safe. I, of course, am doing this session from St. Louis, Missouri. So go ahead. Tell me where you're viewing our session from. And also, in the process, let me know where you are in your journey. Hey, Teresa, thank you so much for joining us. Poetic Justice, thank you guys so much for joining us. Eating with Thee, thank you so much for joining us. Orlando in the house. Hope you guys are ready to learn. We're going to drop some gems for you guys, not just in the States, but also in Canada as well. We got Calgary in the house, you guys. So I want you guys to continue to fill up this room. As usual, when we do our sessions, our purpose is to be able to equip you guys with the tools that you need to be able to manifest your lawyer dreams. I see my boy Geach in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, Troy. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to let this room fill up. Again, our purpose is to be able to try to help make more biopic lawyers. Because let's be honest, you guys, we are so needed. Yes, we got enough of us out on the football field, on the gridiron, in the basketball court, but we definitely need to see more of us also making laws, passing laws, defending our clients. And of course, we believe that every last one of you guys have the ability to be able to do it. And of course, what we do is try to equip you guys with those skills. This past year, we were able to successfully get over 70 people into law school, you guys. And you know what? Like my man says, we want to double that in 2020. You know what? We know that Corona is here, but we know what? Corona is not going to be the reason why you do not go to law school. So we're going to let this room fill up. Again, I see you, Elsie Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us. December Finest, thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, my name is Anthony Denmark. I am the founder of Becoming JD, where we help you guys by building pipelines to law school. All right, so I see that we have our guest here. And one of the things that I always tell you guys is when we do our sessions, the whole purpose is to ensure that you guys out there get your questions answered. And I want to commit you guys to that. So even if your question may not even be related to what we're talking about this evening, I want you guys to fill up our chat box with questions, because I want to make sure that when you leave this session, hey, Bass Shawty, hey, what's going on? When you leave this session, I want to make sure that you leave this session with a plan in regards to what you need to do moving forward to be able to help you successfully be able to navigate your dreams and your journey to becoming a lawyer. Because you know what? It's hard. I know it's hard out there. But nevertheless, I want you to know that there's always someone out there making a way. And we're always here to be able to help you make a way as well. So we see that we got Miller in the building. We got Joan X in the building. We got Straight Ambitious in the building. I love that name. Also, I wanted to say a big, huge thank you to you guys, because we finally reached 10,000 followers. And that is fantastic. I'm happy about that, because that means that we are able to then reach even more people, be able to change even more lives, be able to help even more people try to manifest their lawyer dreams. So again, thank you guys so much for continuing to follow us. Welcome to the tribe for you guys who have never been a part of this session before, and also continue to let it build and grow, because we want to help you guys take the next step and get into law school. Now, of course, one of the things, we are definitely in a time right now, I feel like we're in the modern day civil rights movement. Now, we've read it in the books as children, and now we are actually living it ourselves. You guys feel that way? Go ahead and raise your hands, because I honestly feel like every time I cut on my TV, every time I check my phone, I feel like we are literally living in history. And there's a lot of people out there who are making history, making moves, and making differences. And that's something that we all have the power to be able to do. I see you, D. Charles, here. I believe we are in the modern day civil rights movement. Thank you, Miss Alexi, baby. Thank you for joining us. I mean, think about it. This week, we've already seen Breonna Taylor be able to ultimately win their civil lawsuit and get over $12 million awarded to their families. Of course, we know the mother would have definitely loved Breonna Taylor's face, but also being able to see massive changes being made. Of course, we're still waiting for their conviction. We are still waiting for their arrest. And in addition to that, it seems as if it's really sparked a lot of enthusiasm amongst the black and brown community to be able to see and make those particular changes. At the University of Louisville Law School right now, they are literally teaching a class dedicated to Breonna Taylor, and that is something that's wonderful and that's fantastic. We see at different schools like the University of Colorado, they're doing things like they're teaching a free law school course to help talk about race theory, critical race theory. Yeah. Troy, you remember that when we was at Morehouse. Nevertheless, we also see that at times now we are in an era of the civil rights movement, and right now it's a wonderful time for us to be able to embrace this moment, learn, and also realize the power that we have to be able to impact and make change. We see now at all of the law schools that are in the Big Ten, they are starting a 12-week seminar for free 99, where they're going to be talking about racial justice issues. And that's something that I'm going to post a link to that I want all of you guys to be able to attend. We are in a movement right now, and you have an option to either one, sit back on the sidelines or join the movement. And one of the things we talked about, one of the things I posted today, is really talking about people who are doing more than being on the sidelines. At Florida Law School, BOSA has really made some big time moves. After this critical race theory class, read this book, you guys. After the critical race theory class was canceled at the University of Florida, BOSA wasn't about to have that. Wasn't having it at all. And not only did they get the class put back in place, but they also was able to force the law school, apply pressure to the law school to make some other social justice stances to try to help improve representation and also to be able to help improve. Let's see, you guys, we need to be more than sprinkles in law schools, right? When I was in law school, it was a class that graduated over 250 of us. It was only 4 black men. That's not what we want, and it's definitely not what we want in 2020. So we're all about trying to improve that. I see you, Lil Moke. Say, can you recommend some great books for black politics? Hey, you know what, man? I'm an avid reader. When college football was about to go down and canceled, I said, you know what? I need to invest in myself and invest in my knowledge, because football knowledge, of course, may get me somewhere. But if I'm not winning my league, I might as well go ahead and enrich myself. So always go about enriching yourself. Don't read a book just for school. Read a book to enrich your knowledge as well, okay? Teresa said, I am joining the movement. We got the ball. Let's push it. That's what I'm talking about, Teresa. And so they're doing it at Florida Law School, and I'm really proud of the bosses there. And then also, of course, they're doing it at UNC Law School. UNC Law School boss said, you know what? Listen, they looked around. They said, we only got one black professor at this law school. This ain't right. And they looked at their class, and they're looking over at Harvard Law School and seeing how they're breaking records in regards to representation and really be dedicating themselves to be providing more than just sprinkles to the law school. And they said, hold on. If Harvard Law can do that, why aren't we doing it here in Chapel Hill? And you know what? They wrote a letter in June. And you know what? The law school is now starting to make some changes. Because let's be honest, you guys, representation matters. And all of us have been in that situation. We looked around, we counted how many of us we see, and we realized, dang, really? So few of us? Where we all at? And so one of the things that's really been sparked by this movement currently that we're in is BOSA's programs all over the country. Different law schools have really taken on ownership to try to improve representation at law schools, to give more seats to black and brown lawyers. But let's be honest, you guys, it has nothing to do with your abilities. It has nothing to do with you not being able to be successful. It's all about you being able to have an opportunity. If you think you deserve an opportunity to go to law school, if you believe that your LSAT score is not defined who you are, go ahead and raise your hand up out there, because you know what? That was definitely me. And I'm sure that there's so many of you guys out there as well who are worthy of an opportunity to go to law school. But you know what? We're just going to have to put in that work. I see you, stylist teacher. Thank you for joining us. And so if you're ready to put in that work, you know, we can make your lawyer dreams happen. And it's wonderful to be able to see law students at Florida and at UNC making those changes. And so make sure that you guys check out those schools, check out their bosses. You may see them as guests on this show. Now, of course, one of the other guests that we're going to have on this show today is we're going to go across the pond. We're going to go to Alberta. We're going to talk to someone who actually is the president of BOSA at the University of Calgary Law School in Alberta, Canada. And I want you guys to find out some information, because when we think about law school, when we think about some of the struggles and challenges that brown and black folks experience, oftentimes we think it's something that's limited to the States, but it's something that actually goes It's a national thing. It's an international problem. And we want to find out what they did at UC Calgary to make some moves and happen and see if that's something that we could do at the law schools. So I'm going to go ahead. If you can go ahead, Keshia, go ahead and send me an invite so I can go ahead and get you in on this call so we can make sure and get these knowledge and also find out some information for you guys. Because when we think about law school, oftentimes we just think about the framework of the states. But did you guys know that you can actually go to law school in Canada and literally sit for the bar? So that may be some options for you available. And you know what? Because of COVID-19, it may be possible for you to go to law school in Canada and sit right back at home in the States. So let's go ahead and get her on, and let's go ahead and get this conversation popping. Let's see here. Can I do it with my big fingers? There we go. We're going to get her in. Let me see. Boom. There we go. There we go. All right. So we're going to have her join us momentarily. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us for making the case for your lawyer dreams. How you doing over there, Mr. President?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Again, I'm here with Keshia Holloman. She is the president of the University of Calgary Law School. And when I was going through the internet and I found her story, I was like, oh man, we got to talk to her. And so she was dropping some gems, and I was like, oh man, I didn't have to find her. She found us. So I want to give you space to go ahead and tell people who you are and also some of the initiatives that you're behind in regards to what's going on at Calgary Law School.
Okay, so I am a second-year law student at the University of Calgary. Calgary is the biggest city in the province of Alberta in Canada. I started as a VP events for the Balsa group here, and this year in the summer when kind of all of the demonstrations started, I got transferred the title of president. And we kind of just used the summer to mobilize this movement and make some positive changes happen at our school. And luckily, we had some faculty members that were really willing to listen to us and our calls to action. And now we've made some headway with our initiatives. So.
All right, now Keisha's being modest here, so I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you guys, all right? All right, so just like we got problems over here in the States, they got problems over there in Canada too. When it comes to representation in law school, it's a significant problem. Bias is something that knows no borders and knows is not limited to any particular state or country. And one of the biggest things that oftentimes happens is something that we all know. We all see Keshia when she walked up in her class the first year. She looked around, did the count. We done did the count. If you done did the count when you went to law school or when you went to take your LSAT, you can go ahead and raise your hand because you know what? We done all did it. And so, but one of the things that Keshia did, in addition to Balsa, is instead of just looking and making a count and seeing how underrepresentation was not really being addressed and seeing that bias was really a huge problem at UC Calgary Law, she spoke up. She did something. Now, I want you to give them the details in regards to how you guys went about doing it, because oftentimes especially when we look at law school, there's so few of us in classes, we oftentimes can get reluctant or nervous because, you know, it's not that many of us here. And oftentimes we may not have as much support from the professors because there may be even fewer Black or brown professors at our schools as well.
Yeah, so there were two of us in my class out of about 130. Myself and David, he is a Black man, and we had one Black woman in the year above us and 3 that had just graduated. Our school doesn't take race-based data, so we didn't know how many were coming in for first year. And yeah, so in the moment, there was just the 3 of us, and we decided we wanted to do something. So we wrote a calls to action, and we made it an open letter addressed to our faculty, just kind of asking for increased student diversity, increased faculty diversity. We asked for a targeted mental health initiative, a mentorship program, and also critical race theory and anti-racism training as a part of a mandatory course or or a part of our foundations course, which is the mandatory course that all first years take and in their first 3 weeks. Since then, our university has incorporated the critical race theory as a part of foundations. We have gone to the Canadian Bar Association, and with our career and professional development office, we kind of tweaked the mentorship application program. So now it's based a little bit, it prioritizes identity a little bit more. So students will be matched with a mentor that is, matches with them on the basis of gender if they would like, on the basis of race if they would like, anything really that they would like. It prioritizes that a little bit more than practice area. But our biggest thing was that we now have a Black student admissions process at U of C. And students are able to self-identify just by ticking a box. And then from there, they're evaluated the same way.
Right.
So if they get the 2 yeses, they're in like anybody else. But the difference is if it's a yes and a no from the people that review their files, normally that would just go to another committee member to review the file again, and they go with the higher score, and then if they get in from that, it's all good to go. But with the Black admissions process, that second review is done by a Black subcommittee that's composed of Black students, alumni, faculty, and Black professionals. So we have 11 lawyers that are on the subcommittee now. Myself and the 2 other students are on the subcommittee, and our 2 faculty members are on the subcommittee. So,
wow. And this is what 2 law students did. And
3.
for 3 law students, of course, with the support of so many people. And so I want you guys to be able to understand is that the power of your voice and the power of being able to understand is that, yes, we've always heard this phrase, it's strength in numbers, but if in fact you really want to be able to make an impact and make a change, there's definitely several people out there that's doing it. And one of the reasons that I wanted you to have you on here, so it could put a face to a name. We saw the article, we saw you cheesing in it, and I want people to be able to understand also, because one thing I'm curious about is when it comes to going to law school in Canada, when we talk about the biases, I mean, when you said there's only 3 in a class, I mean, I honestly thought, man, some law schools that need to add more, they'll be like, well, we had 5. But one of the things that I wonder is like, what has been some of the responses to this new admissions process at your law school?
Well, I mean, you should never look at the comments in a news article on Facebook. They're never good. It's very rare that they are. So, I mean, the responses there haven't been the greatest, but the responses from our faculty, our other faculty members that weren't really involved have been really great. And the news teams that have covered it have been really great. And I think overall people do want to see some change, but those people that do want to see change, they're not the loudest ones in the bunch. And so people are more open to these things if you take the first step. And it's unfortunate that a student that is kind of isolated, it's unfortunate that they have to be the ones to do that. But by doing that, you're kind of allowing all of your allies as well to have a voice, and then you get that strength in numbers that you were talking about. So
absolutely. And one of the benefits I like is like when you make comments and you're foolish, eventually you put yourself on display. And at the end of the day, what you guys are doing at UC Calgary Law is literally changing. You have infiltrated the system and changed it from the inside. And that's something that's going to have a massive impact on the law school long after you graduate. And one of the things that's amazing about this, like I said in the beginning, we are in the modern day civil rights movement right now. And now it's on us to be able to take on that power and really truly be able to utilize it. It's more than just the black square on Thursdays, right? It's more than just being able to put in the hashtag Black Lives Matter. It's so much more than that. And so one of the other things that I definitely want to ask you about, let me introduce you again. I'm on with Keshia Holloman. She is the president of She's president of BALSA for the University of Calgary Law School. She's a boss, y'all. Straight boss moves all the time. And what I wanted to ask you was, it's like, in the midst of COVID-19, of course, the Rona is affecting everybody, even you guys over there in the pond. So I want to know across the lake, not the pond is UK, across the lake, but how has the Corona impacted law school for you?
Well, for fall semester, all of our classes are online now. That happened towards the end of our winter semester last year. In Canada, they took measures pretty quickly, and so everything at our university shifted to online, and classes that they don't normally offer in the summer, they decided to really quickly make a couple of classes for us to take in the summer if we didn't get employment, so that we were doing something. And then yeah, this semester is all online. They're going to reevaluate in the winter. I imagine it will still mostly be online. The only people really allowed in the school right now are people that need the labs. So that's kind of how it's shifted for us. I know that within our little BALSA group, some people are having a harder time than others. I personally really like it because I like being at home. I would much rather work from home. So I'm a little bit more introverted, so I like being here and learning from home. But yeah, it's different for everyone. We've been really lucky in Canada to have measures in place, and I think that would also really affect somebody, just like kind of having to go into an atmosphere and worry about what the situation is like, and we don't have to worry about that. We've had to adjust our learning styles a little bit, but we don't have to worry as much. So
now I got a couple questions that were sent to my DMs, and I had to be able to ask you about it. Now, one of the questions I have is, like, for example, for my students or people who are interested in going to UC Calgary Law, who may be in the United States, maybe United States citizens, what is that process like? And if in fact, what do they have to do to be able to get admitted into UC Calgary Law School?
So the admissions criteria is the exact same.
Okay.
There's, I think, don't quote me on this. I think the minimum is a 3.2 GPA, and they don't give a minimum on the LSAT. Our school specifically has a holistic admissions process already without the Black student admissions process. So they look at things like life experience, barriers you've overcome. They already did that before we had that. So you have your statement of interest, your GPA, and your LSAT score. But then there's also a special facts section in the U Calgary admissions process that is specifically meant for that. And now what's kind of also changed with the new admissions process is that they've expanded that section. So instead of it being 250 words, it's now 500 words. And it's nice because that statement of interest, why you want to go to law school, is not used. You don't have to use it to talk about the barriers that you've overcome. You can specifically talk about why it is you want to go to law school, what you want to do with that law degree, and you're not taking away from anything else to speak to your other lived experiences. So yeah, that was kind of expanded. And in the general process, what Catherine, she's our Dean of Admissions and Recruiting, who she helped with this process. She did the hard work within the faculty of making this process. And what she's done is she's also kind of targeted the questions above it. So a lot of students were using that as like an extension of their statement of interest. And she didn't want that. She wanted it to be specifically for marginalized students to speak. And so that's what she's done now, is she's targeted the questions a little bit more so that students understand what that specific place is for. And we also have an Indigenous student application process where the requirements are adjusted a little bit for them. because you do have to provide proof that you're a status Indigenous person. But yeah, so there's an admission process for them as well, and then ours, and it's the same kind of thing. There's a space for you to write an essay about the barriers you've overcome and what connection you have with Black culture. And so for someone like myself as a Black woman, it's nice because I can speak to being a woman in the special facts section of the general admissions, but then being a Black person in the Black admissions process if I was to apply to law school now. So
All right, now
yeah, that's it. Really, I guess it's you would be coming in as an international student, so it's more expensive. But Catherine told me the average is about 40,000 a year, which is pretty competitive compared to a lot of American schools. And the great thing about our school also is that I think this might have been, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but I think this might have been one of your questions as well. The great thing about our school is we have a combined degree program that offers a Canadian Juris Doctor and an American Juris Doctor in 4 years. So you just add that 1 year on and you've got a law degree that can be used in both countries. And yeah, it's with the University of Houston.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the things I always tell you guys, you always want to be able to expand your possibilities. And one of the things that, like she just said, right, she's taking classes from home. So before you start thinking about barriers of going out of the country, or oh my gosh, I got to think about my passport. Right now, we are in the midst of COVID-19. So don't put barriers there that aren't there right now. Okay. And so there are plenty of people who are out there making a way. And so treat Corona like a temporary inconvenience, not something that's going to be able to put your lawyer dreams to an end. Now, one of the questions I also want to be able to ask you about is, tell us a little bit about your story in regards to how you ended up in law school, because for you to just become one of three or one of two in your class, I mean, that says you had to go overcome a lot of challenges. And I really want you to share your story, because a lot of people out there think that they can't be a lawyer because it's hard. They think they can't be a lawyer because their score is not good. They think they can't be a lawyer because, you know what, I had to retake, I had to reapply, and you know what, I was not born with money. And that was me. But tell people your story. Let them know that the struggle is real, but isn't, you know what, victory is too.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Canada. I'm a fourth generation Calgarian actually, and but my dad is from the States actually. He was born in Virginia and raised in Florida, and I mean, my family grew up. We weren't really wealthy. My parents got divorced when I was younger, so single parents, and I've had to use student loans to get through law school and get into law school. I worked for a long time. I went to university right out of high school, and I ended up having to take time off to kind of help out with a family member. And from there, I just kind of got stuck in working, and it's really easy to just like money coming in and not having to apply for student loans. So I did that for a while, and I ended up traveling and getting some experience that way, which kind of helped out with this holistic process. It's funny though too, because my mom always said that I should be a lawyer, and when I first went to university, I was like, oh, no, I'm going to be an archaeologist. I'm going to be like Tomb Raider. So I didn't know right away either. And sure enough, one day I was like, you know what? I want to be a lawyer. I want to affect some kind of positive change in the justice system. And that's what motivated me to go to law school. And so I completed my bachelor's degree and applied to law school. This was the only school I applied to because this is where I wanted to go. And it worked out really well because they have the holistic process, and I could talk about my work experience. I could talk about the volunteering that I'd done. I could talk about the barriers I had to overcome, not coming from a wealthy family, being raised by single mothers. And that's kind of how I started my journey. I kind of came into law school also thinking that I was going to be a human rights lawyer. And after the first year, I've realized that I don't have to do human rights specifically to help people. So that's kind of my journey. And now I'm in this place where I don't really know exactly what I want to do anymore, but there's so many options, and I'm already, you know, our university is really great at supporting students when they say something. So it's been really great for me because even though I'm not a lawyer yet, I've already been able to help in some way. So it's about finding the right atmosphere for you, and the right group to mesh with, that will help you to excel. So
Absolutely. Again, I'm on the line with our special guest, Keshia Holloman, the president of BALSA at the University of Calgary Law. And one of the things that I really want you guys to be able to highlight from her story is oftentimes when we think about the struggles that we're going through, man, we wear them like they're scarlet letters. We, for some reason, carry them like it's something to be ashamed of. And, I can attest to my own story. I had a 0.6 GPA and got dismissed from law school. And I carried that like a bag of, like a scarlet letter, like shame. But oftentimes, just like in the case of Keshia, just in the case of so many of you guys out there, what you guys don't realize is that your struggle, that thing that you've had to overcome, is the reason why you're going to be successful in law school. It's the reason that, for example, when they looked at Keshia's application and looked at 2,000 other ones, they saw the strength that she was able to foster up with the things that she overcame in her life. And that gave law schools the assurances to know that, you know what, ain't no back down in Keshia. Yeah, she smiles. Yeah, you know what, but when it gets tough, she gonna make it happen. And so I want you guys to understand that don't beat yourself up for what your story is. Understand your story is why you're going to be successful. I mean, we see it on TV all the time. Oftentimes we see these finished products and we think that they got there in a blink of an eye. But it's because of that struggle that develops that grind, that develops that hustle that you need, that knows that what we say ain't no coming back. We can't go back. And I'm sure that's definitely something that Keshia can attest to. And if you guys have questions for Keshia, I want you guys to fill them up in the chat box. And I also want to give you one last opportunity to also give you an opportunity to share some lasting words of encouragement that you have to people out there who are thinking about giving up, who are thinking about saying, you know what, maybe I'll be a paralegal or an archaeologist.
I just can't stress it enough that that you're not powerful, in spite of these things. It's because of these things, and that was really what I wanted to get across to everyone in the law school too, that there's tons of qualified people. They just don't see themselves in spaces, and it just they need to see themselves there and see that their achievements are just as good, if not better, than some other people's achievements, that have maybe had a helping hand the whole way. Overcoming something is powerful in and of itself. And I just really can't stress that enough. So run with that.
And I want to thank you, Keshia, for taking some time out of your schedule, because I know you got to study, for speaking with us. And of course, we will definitely be keeping track of you, and I look forward to being able to share your insights, your thoughts, and expertise later in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was really a pleasure.
All right. There we go. Let's see here. My fingers are big. Awesome. And thank you so much for Keshia for joining us. Again, she came all the way from Canada to drop some gems for you guys. And one of the reasons why we have guests on is because we want to be able to normalize the struggle. I understand that oftentimes we look at our lives and we see our LSAT scores and we see these picture perfect images when we go to these law school websites, right? And we think that, oh man, that's not me. And because it's not me, I can't be a lawyer. Because it's not me, I need to go ahead and cancel this LSAT and go ahead and just try something else. And what I want you guys to be able to understand is that, you know what? The struggle is your strength. I want someone to type that in the box. My struggle is my strength, because the struggle that you're going through is going to be the source of your strength. It's going to be the reason why you overcome. It's going to also be the reason why you break through. And so I want you guys to be able to understand. Someone said, had a question. How did you deal with the lack of information about Canadian law schools? Most of the information I find online is U.S. schools. And so we'll see. We'll if you're able to come on real quick and answer that question, you feel free, you can. But what I want you guys to be able to understand is that the struggle is the source. The struggle is your strength. Okay. It is because you're going to break through your struggle and share your struggle is why you're going to ultimately end up breaking through. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. The A-list goddess. My struggle is my strength. Understand that. Guess what? Your struggle is ultimately going to be your story. It's going to be the thing that separates you from everybody else. And ultimately, it's going to be the reason why the law school is going to choose you. So oftentimes with the clients that I work with, we get nervous and scared to share our struggles. But understand, your struggle is what the law schools want to hear about. They don't care about Instagram pretty. They don't care about that. They want to know, do you have the strength to break through? Do you have the strength to be able to weather the storm? And I wanted to be able to get one of my students, one of my 1L students who we worked with this summer, who was able to break through. I wanted to get her on for you guys to be able to talk to her, because she is freshly a 1L law student now at GW. And so go ahead, Reese, go ahead and hit that invite button so we can get you on, because I really want you to be able to share some of your story. We don't take them to church, and let people be able to understand, when they talk about wanting to go to law school, how ultimately it's the people who talk about it, it's people who are about that action. And I've just been very fortunate that a lot of the clients that I've worked with this year, they've been about that action. They've been about doing whatever is possible. Anytime that I drop something on the IG about law school opportunities, Ivy League courses, virtual volunteering opportunities, Reese was about that life. And I'm hoping that there's a lot of people out there who are also hungry and anxious. You're tired of waiting another year to go to law school. You're trying to make this year be the year that you go to law school. I want you to understand that when people look at COVID-19, real lawyers, real future lawyers realize it is now an opportunity for you to be able to become a lawyer, because so many and their mama are going to make excuses. If you're not about to make excuses, I want you to type in the box, I'm not making excuses. Because for everybody out there that's making an excuse, they're going to be eliminating themselves, which means it gives you an opportunity to be able to shine. And I wanted to have you guys get an opportunity to talk to Reese so you can find out how she shined, because she definitely did shine. And she didn't take no for an answer. And I want you guys to learn how to do the same thing as well. You work with me and we do the same thing like we did with her. Let's go ahead and get her on the line. Let's see. View, sent requests. My big hands. Go live. There we go. And waiting for her to come up. I love it. Someone said, I'm not making excuses.
Hey.
You Miss 1L at GW. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know what? I just had to take a moment of your time because, one, I know you grinding. I already know that. And I really wanted to give you an opportunity, because they've seen clips of you, but they really haven't had an opportunity to hear. A lot of people say they want to be a lawyer, but let's talk about it. There's nothing to be about it. So I want to give you the floor and really let people know what it takes to be able to turn a wait list into a seat.
Right.
Because we definitely made that happen this year, and it was all, your grind was unmatched.
Literally, you guys, it was a journey. Like, the number one thing that I can recommend for you guys is to just stay persistent. Be proactive, not reactive. Like, do not wait for the school to, just don't wait. If you're on the wait list, don't wait. wait list does not mean wait. Wait list means be proactive, go out there, do things that is going to spark their interest, you know, get their attention, because there's a million other people that's on the wait list as well. So what makes you different? You know, what makes you unique? What makes you diverse? So that's one of the things that I did with, you know, becoming JD. It was a great mentorship, just specific things that I needed to do, specific things that I needed to stay on my email. Everything is strategic. And that's why I really appreciated the mentorship, because without it, I wouldn't have known like what to do step by step to get them to change their mind and say, you know what, I want you to go to my law school. Because to be quite honest with you guys, that entire class was full. They made a seat for me. So it's possible. Don't let anybody tell you no. Like, no is not the answer. Like, if that's something that you want to do, no is definitely not the answer. You have to make them say yes to you. So
Type that in the box, y'all. No is not the answer.
no is not the answer, period.
What I want you guys to be, now she's being modest, and I'm going to just go ahead and let you know about the grind and the hustle. In the summertime, where were we at in regards to acceptances? Did we have any?
I had no acceptance to any schools. I was on the wait list for 2 schools in June, and that's pretty late, because in June, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do in my life? I'm literally waiting just for an email saying accepted to so-and-so school, right? So we were just waiting, honestly, in June.
And well, like she said, you know, while everybody else out there waiting, we about acting. Now, you know, I remember when I said, listen, they may call what we do extra, but you know what they call someone who's extra? Accepted. And you know what? One of the things I want you guys to understand is that you cannot be passive in this admissions process, because there's far too many people out there who have the same dream as you, but there's not enough seats to go around. And so I want you to be able to tell them, because one of the things that she did, a straight hustler move, that I think something that every last one of you out here, she was able to get a Zoom call with the dean of the law school. Now,
Yeah.
she made a way. And I want you guys to be understanding, you got to step out your comfort zone if you want it, because if there's somebody else out there that want it more than you, it don't matter what your LSAT score is. It don't matter what your GPA. If you want proof, ask this future lawyer right here. Let him know.
Yes, I definitely took the initiative to give myself an interview. Basically, I was like, I'm not going to wait till you guys give me an interview. I'm going to set my own interview up, and I'm going to have my notes ready and my resume and all the things that I'm going to talk about, all the things that I accomplished at Spelman, everything I accomplished and Teach for America Teaches, all of my accolades. I was going to have everything ready, and we're going to interview me. So that's really, honestly, because I requested to speak with the dean of law, and I had that conversation. They were able to kind of feel my energy through the phone. They were able to really understand that this is something that I'm serious about. This is something that is my passion, that I've been working hard to get to for years. And at the end of my conversation, the dean told me, he said, I'm so glad that you requested this call. I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to hear your voice, because we get so many applications and we read so many applications that we can never match a piece of paper and a story to a voice or to a person. So the fact that he was able to kind of hear my passion through our conversation, he was like, you know, you're on my radar. Just 10-minute conversation, a 10-minute conversation. Like, we got straight to the point, had a 10-15-minute conversation. And with that, everything that I said in that conversation, he was able to say, you know what, if a spot does become available, you're the first person that I'm going to reach out to.
And I'll never forget, she sent me a message and she said, Tuesday, they got 2 people that didn't come. And so they're going to tell me on Tuesday if they're coming. And then all of a sudden that day came, they opened the seat for me. And so what I want you guys to be able to understand is, everybody applies to law school, but what are you going to do that's different? It's one thing to be able to say that you're a hard worker, but it's another thing to be able to show them with receipts with your actions and your effort. You show your receipts with your actions and your effort on your resume. Let's be real, y'all. When they look at that date, they're going to look at them dates to see what you're doing. They're going to look to see, are you using the Rona as an excuse? Or are you using the Rona as a way to make a way?
Right.
And that's definitely what she did. Now, I want you also to tell people, like, for example, you can't be afraid to hear no. How many no's did you hear? How many no answers did you hear?
Guys, I literally, and I'm not even embarrassed to share this because, this is something that might inspire other people, but I applied to like 20, 25 schools, and I did not get accepted at the time. During the summertime, I got waitlisted for 2 schools, and that was GW Law School and that was Tulane. And they both accepted me, but I ended up going with GW Law. But it's a numbers game, you guys. Like, it took 20 no's for 2 yes. But at least you know, like, that's the end goal. It doesn't matter. Like, the process, as long as you get to where you're trying to go, like, that's what you're proud of. So if you're one of those people that struggle with the LSAT, or you're having issues with your application process, you definitely need to go with Becoming JD, because we can eliminate all of those problems up front. And that's what I really liked about the mentorship program that we have going on, is because, like, I don't know if I would have got off the wait list if I didn't have his help, to be quite honest, because I didn't, this is somebody that's been through it, that's went through this process before. So kind of, we have similar backgrounds. We went to Morehouse, I went to Spelman, like, we kind of had similar, credentials. So it was really good being able to personalize with someone that understands. So, but it did take a lot of no's for me to just get 2 yeses. So definitely stay motivated.
And I mean, and the thing about it, you guys have to understand is, listen, the only thing a no does is make it that much easier for you to get a yes. That much easier. Because honestly, one of the most amazing things that happened with you, and I love this so much, is, hold on, I got to make a choice between schools now. And
But I
so,
didn't have that.
and the schools that said no to me were ranked lower than the ones that said yes.
Right. That was like mind blowing, yeah.
So understand, you guys, is that you can't be scared. And one of the things you have to realize is that we are now always look at things half full. Rona is here. Rona ain't going nowhere no matter what. 45 is probably going to be here after 45. It's probably going to be here whoever is going to be elected president. And so you have a choice. You can use Rona as an excuse to not go out there and get volunteer experience. You could use Rona as an excuse to say, well, you know what, I'm not going to take the LSAT flex at home because I got kids. But there are people out there who are choosing to do otherwise. And you're talking to one of them right here. And I want you guys to be able to understand is that it's one thing to say that you want to go to law school, but you have to put some action behind those words. And so here we got some questions.
Yes.
Brittany France, she said, did you get app waivers from most of the schools?
No, I didn't. I just paid for it, unfortunately. But that's something that I did on the front end. Like, this is way before I got linked with, Becoming JD.
Yeah,
so if I would have connected with him, like, in the start of my process, I'm pretty sure there would have been other avenues and different ways for me to get those fee waivers. But I didn't even think about that. I was just trying to meet the deadlines and everything for early decision, regular decision. So I just ended up paying for it. But I definitely recommend, if you're going to start the process, don't pay. Try to get some free waivers, application waiver, because it's very expensive. Because I believe that LSAC, they initially charge you just $45 to send everything. That's just to send it. That's just to send your application. That's not including the application fee. So some applications were $85. So that's that $85 plus that's $45 is a mandatory fee that you have to pay if you want them to send your letter of recommendations, your paper, your essays, and your transcripts and everything. So that's already an automatic $45 just for one school. And then plus that $85 for the application to go to the school. That's a lot of money per school. So what I ended up doing was just saving, because I prepared to do that though. So if you are in a position where you're getting close to a deadline, definitely save and be prepared for it. But if not, if you're starting in the beginning of your application process, you definitely need to link yourself with Becoming JD, because he probably can help you figure out a way to get application waivers.
She's right. Because let me tell you this, man, you don't be afraid to ask. Because you want to apply on average to about 13 schools. That comes out just on transmission fees alone. That's $685. So I don't know about y'all out there, but even if I got it, I ain't definitely trying to spend it. So, but law schools actually are very open and willing to be able to give you waivers. You just have to be able to ask the right way. And so, like she said, if you guys need help with that, definitely hit me up, because I definitely want you guys to be in a good position to be able to not only apply to as many schools as possible, but put yourself in the best position to be able to be successful. Now, one of the other things that I know our live is about to end in a second is I really want you to take an opportunity to talk to them about the importance of flexibility when it comes to applying to law schools, because, you know, we kind of get in our ways, you know, we say we want to go to these schools, but I want you to let them know, because Sis was about to take her and her husband and go all the way out to Arizona State. So I want you to, with 2 minutes, let them know how important the flexibility is to the admission process.
So basically, what's your question? I'm sorry.
About how important being flexible it is in the admissions process.
Oh, definitely. Yes. You have to be on their time. So basically, you know, this is something that you aspire to do, that you want to do. So you do have to sacrifice a lot. You really have to plan things out and map things out as far as, you know, when the deadlines are, and, you know, when you have to pay what, and then, you know, the seat deposits. Everything is money. Like, honestly, everything is money. Tuition. Right now I'm online, same as if I was to be in person. So everything is about money. But at the end of the day, you have to know that, you know, I'm going to be a lawyer at the end of this. So with that being said, I have to make ultimate sacrifices so I can get to that point. And you have to be willing to put the effort in and grind and do that and be flexible. So everything is not going to go the way that you want it to go, but it's good to know, like, at the end, it'll be a rewarding feeling. So.
Absolutely. And A-List Goddess, if you need help, feel free to hit me up with a DM. I'd be more than happy to work with you, just like we did with so many of our other clients. But what I want to tell you guys in closing, I got 3 minutes, so I'm trying to get it in real quick, is I want you guys to be able to understand right now, I want you guys to know there are law school forums coming up. And unlike times past where you had to go to them, they are now coming to you. And this is going to be your first opportunity to be able to make a first impression. So I want you guys to go ahead and go to the Law School Admissions Council, sign up for these forums. This is going to give you a chance to really make a mark. I'm going to do an IG Live a little later, probably tell you guys about how to network and how to manage this process. Because listen, September 23rd is going to be your first opportunity to become a memorable law school applicant. So that way, when they go and look at your application, they say, oh, yeah, I remember meeting them. Because that's the impression that you want to leave. And so I want you guys to stay tuned to that. Understand that now you are in a position where you don't have to go to the law school forums. You can go to, they're going to come to you. So I want you guys to be ready. I want you guys to feel encouraged. If you're studying for the LSAT and it's not where you want it, understand that at the end of the day, stepping out of your comfort zone is going to be the biggest, you're going to get the biggest reward yet. And for those out there who are nervous about, I got rejected or I got dismissed, understand, you're looking at a person that's been dismissed that got back in. You're looking at a person below here who got rejected from lower tier law schools that got into a top tier school. So understand that you can do it. All you got to do is make the decision and not stop. And so I want to thank you for coming on. Of course, me and you are going to talk a little bit later. And I want to pray for all my 1Ls out there. I know you guys are nervous and struggling. We're going to have something for you guys a little bit later, probably this weekend, because I want you guys to understand that you are in a great position, and I don't want you guys to get nervous. You guys got it. And again, thank you guys for joining us. We look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care.
See you.